Hello, my name is Gareth Williams, and this is the effervescent Michelle Molyneux. Hello, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Gareth?
I'm always very good, always very good. A beautiful backdrop I see with beautiful flowers. Loving that,
Yeah, gotta love a
loving
flower
that. And
every
you
now
can
and
see
then.
the orange and the yellow and the blue and the grey. It's all going on behind me. You are, of course, now joining us on the third episode of the Michelle Molyneux podcast. So a massive warm welcome to everyone watching. How has you been since we last spoke? Your voice is stronger.
Yep, my voice is really starting to come back. I got told that I had contact ulcers due to all the coughing. So it's just
Wow.
taken quite a bit of time for them to heal
Yeah,
and get back to normal. So fingers crossed.
yeah,
It,
definitely.
it's we're
Definitely.
getting there.
You sound stronger. You sound so much better. You really do. Um, okay, let's get into this first question because I can't really wait to find out this week. We've got a bit of a special this week, guys, all about frameworks, all about some of the behind the scenes of the fantastic work that Michelle does. So the first question is around this plan, do, check, act. That's kind of, from what I understand, like a change management model. But just tell us a bit more, Michelle, about how that's relevant to your business and others.
Okay, plan, do, check, act is a way that things that businesses use to continuously improve. If we don't do it, we're stagnant. If you think about every year, you do your strategic plan, you do your SWOT analysis, you're doing that plan, do, check, act, sometimes without even knowing you're doing it to improve your business. And it's a fundamental thing to do within quality management. So we do it with a lot with our businesses in relation to risk management, if there's instance, policy development and training. They're some of the big key areas that we've put into for plan to check do.
Fantastic. And I believe it comes from kind of a lean manufacturing background, does it? That kind of
Yeah,
Kaizen thinking, yeah.
yeah. It is a fundamental of lean because, like I say, things change. Everything is a continuous change. Technology changes, legislation changes. So we've got to continuously keep doing it to make sure we're keeping up. And we're actually bringing new products and services out that our customers need, want, and desire. Um,
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
I don't think usually quality management is on the top of the desire list. It's usually, I really need it right now and something's gone wrong, or it's not a desirable. It's usually a need or must have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if they do, they know where to come, don't they, Michelle? They certainly do. They certainly do. No, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. That's really useful for me to know. Thank you. So I totally understand how that plan, do, check, act is really important, and that's really what I wanted to discuss further a bit today. I guess looking at this 11-step framework, which is unique to the fantastic Michelle. I can't believe you've created this. I've seen the document; it is brilliant. Just wanted to focus in on what I understand is step two, this audit process. Can you just tell us a bit more about what that is again in relation to the people watching?
Okay, well, the framework I created is can be used across the business. Doesn't have to be just within data protection. Can be used in across business for quality foundations. And with any business, you need to actually do audits. You need to check where you are, whether it be a monthly, weekly check, or it's a big external check. And external doesn't mean external outside the company. Um, an external audit is, in audit terms, is usually like a financial audit. An internal audit is any audit that's looking at your systems,
Yeah.
but you can still get external people coming in. So it's just making sure you've got the ticks and balances in place and checking that you've done everything. Now, within data protection, that is going through and checking that you've got everything in place, that your training's up to date, that your staff know what they're doing, and that you're actually saying what you're doing on paper. So you look at your software and you look at your documentation, then you look at your software and go, well, you told me on this documentation you want to keep things for 6 years. But then you go and look at the software and you see, or you go in the emails and you go, over here doesn't match what's going on over here. So let's see if we can marry them up. But it's also a good way of actually noticing or identifying what's missing. So under GDPR, it's called a gap analysis,
Yeah.
and you use it just for that reason, to check the gaps, check what you're doing really well, which is really important, but checking what the gaps are as well.
No, that's fantastic, and it is. Yes, gap analysis is so important, isn't it, to every business? In every
Yeah.
part of the business. So I really appreciate how that audit bit is relevant to that, and again how it works within your framework. So that's really good. Thank you, Michelle. That's really detailed. Thank you. So I can really see how gap analysis really is relevant to the whole audit, to this fantastic, brilliant framework you've created. And obviously, no gap analysis is really complete without communication and training, which I understand is number 8 on your framework. So tell us a little more.
Well, I wanted to try and put two together, because communication and training are intertwined. Why? And the reason I put them together is if you've got a new policy or you're doing something new, you are giving it out to your staff to educate them either by getting them to read it or um, do a meeting or actually by doing formal training. So the two really go hand in hand a lot of the time. So what I do with a lot of businesses and internally myself as well is if I've got a policy or if a business has got a policy, I get them to communicate it out. That
Yeah,
can be by emails, it can be through team meetings, it can be on the website, um, it can so it can be on their CRM or their filing system, whatever way they want to do it. Usually two or three different ways, and then you go hand in hand with training. Now, I know with NHS contracts, so any business that works with an NHS contract and they have to do the data security and protection toolkit, they insist that 95% of staff, or the last time I checked, it was 95%, have to have data protection training within 12 months. So that's
right.
the awareness of what data protection is and how it's going to affect a business. The next step from that step of just saying what data protection is actually how does this impact on our businesses, and
Hmm.
training your staff in the right. If we get a subject access request, this is what we do. If we have an incident, whether you've stubbed your toe or you've mislaid your phone, there's still incidents. You record it, and it's all of that training in one way, shape, or form, whether through formal or informal, that is an essential part of any framework.
Fantastic. No, it looks so thorough. It really does look so thorough. And considering it's these 11 steps, it's yeah, I'm very impressed. And so should you be, people. Very impressed. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Okay, Michelle, so we're still back into this, just looking at this brilliant slide that you're showing me now. These 11 steps to achieve the GDPR and data protection compliance. So just tell me a little bit more about this brilliant framework and how and why it was created.
Well, it was created as part of, well, going through what's on the ICO website and doing research with lots of other businesses and through like my training as a DPO and IAPP and PECB. Um, you get to learn that you've got different legislation and you mix that in with the quality frameworks, like say the plan, do, check, act. It feeds into quite a lot of information at the same time. So under the legislation, you've got the GDPR, you've got your principles, and those principles literally pad out all of this. Now, you could bring it down to 6, you could make it 10, I could make it 13, but comfortably, it sits nicely at 11, and that's where I came up. So it starts with identifying your key personnel. Under the legislation, it talks about governance, who is responsible, who's managing it, and If you had a bigger business, it wouldn't just be the DPO or the privacy manager. Every department manager would be responsible. So it's taken all of that into consideration. Also, if you've got a small business, if you outsource your data, your IT, because that's another person that would be responsible for key aspects within this. It says number two, carrying out your audit. Three, do you know what data you've got? Where it is, how you use it, what's your legal reasons for using it. So that's what identifying your data is. Um, and then going through, like, say, doing your due diligence on your suppliers, on your onboarding them and offboarding them. So getting everything checked there. Risk assessments and management, self-explanatory. But again, I don't just use this within data protection. I use this across the whole business. So
Yeah.
your policies and procedures, and you just go round, and it all fits into those four stages in different aspects of where we go.
No, it's fantastic. It really is fantastic, and just the simplicity of it. It's a lot easier to climb any mountain with steps than it is. When you don't know where you're going with a really big ramp.
Yeah.
I know I'm being fairly simplistic here, but it is. It's a great business tool. It's a great sales aid, and I mean that in a non-salesy way. I mean in a very very customer centric way. It allows me and other clients to see exactly where they've got to go from and to, and I think the
Oh,
simplicity of it
yeah.
adds
What
to
I
that.
do is I actually have each within my quality folder. I actually have each one of these folders. So I put all my organisation structure under key personnel. My audits go under number two. My mapping goes under number three, and I go round. So all my record management and my checklist that I've done, so risk assessments, everything else, they might go under number 10. Um, Monitoring accountability. Have I done all the monthly checks? I put it
Yeah.
under number 11. So if I've
No,
had meetings
totally.
with people, it goes in that. So I can
Yeah.
actually identify quickly which folder I need to go into because it's all there.
No, sounds good. Indeed, that is excellent record management, Michelle. No pun intended there, eh? If you couldn't even manage your own records, then the world would be in trouble, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you for that detailed look at this brilliant kind of framework. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. So as we come to the end of this kind of fantastic episode this week and this month, it just remains for me to ask the last question really about how some of those steps from 1 to kind of 8 and 9 lead into this number 10 of record keeping, Michelle. Could you just let us know a bit more about how, again, that's relevant to not only your own framework, but all the brilliant businesses that are no doubt watching this video?
Well, record keeping is essential in any business, and it's not just data protection record keeping. We need to keep records. We need to keep our finance records, so the HMRC. We've got to keep our insurance. We've got to keep a load of data relevant for what our businesses do. Um, and where that comes into quality is you get various records coming in. You get various tasks or policies and procedures coming in. So you've got complaints, you've got testimonials, you've got compliments that don't want to go on the website. So they all come under, say, have you say, they're records. How do you manage them? Where do you keep them? You've then got, let's say, your risk management. So your risk assessments, your data protection impact assessments, your business continuity plan, your business risk overall plan. Um, what you're going to do with them? Where are they going to be saved? So everything that you do within your business needs to be at some point recorded, whether it be through policies and procedures or the actions that are created as a result of those policies and procedures in a logical way that can be found. And one of the things that we used to get drilled into us is when I was teaching, and again in health and social care, if it's not written down, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So you've
Yeah.
got to be able to back it up that you're doing what you say you're doing,
Yeah.
and that it's actually happened. So I try and lead by example by doing incorporating a good record management system, and I encourage and support my clients to improve and embed that record management system within their
Yeah.
businesses,
No, no,
but
that's
not
key.
just with data protection, but across the whole business.
No, 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 that's key. And I think over this video series so far, we're starting to build up now, aren't we? These clients and customers and audience, how competent you are, and this framework really plays into that. Very similar, I guess, to when you were saying there, if it's not recorded, that didn't happen. If it's not on film, you can't be seen. And that's partly the reason why, of course, we're creating this podcast for your brilliant business. So I think it only remains me to say thank you ever so much for joining me, or letting me join you indeed, on this week's episode. And I can't wait to catch up in May, because we're filming this in April, of course, to speak to you again in May to hear the next steps in this brilliant podcast series. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much, Gareth.
No problem. See you soon. See you guys.
Bye.